So the Aztec men's hoopsters are showing signs of life heading into conference play, and a quick look in the rearview mirror of the first season of Aztec Fast.
The rear view mirror.
Right, and it shows road. Now the lads worked pretty hard this season. I'm not going to say it's that. Let's just say there's debris on the road. They gave their all, and let's just call it that. So welcome. This is Aztecs All In. I'm Steve Perez, Louis Weiner. This is one of them, their podcasts, and we are all in on San Diego State University Aztec athletics. A couple of SDSU grads, just enough time in the media to be dangerous, and we thank Mr. Weiner's former shop, CBS 8, for giving us a go on their platform, CBS 8 Plus.
Yeah,
and Aztecs
plus.
are gearing up for conference, Louis, in hoops against Fresno State, and they've got some good vibes. Some successful moments to look back on at this recently concluded Players Era. They call it a festival. They were 2-1.
Yeah, it was
in
a
these
festival.
games.
Festival. Real quick about CBS 8 Plus. We appreciate CBS 8 Plus. We have been doing this podcast now for a year and a half, audio only. So this is the first time you're seeing our lovely faces. So Steve, thank you. Yeah, San Diego State men's basketball team played exceptionally well in the Players Era Festival, the first ever Players Era Festival, and they made some bucks, $1 million in NIL money, and then an extra $150,000 for finishing in third place. And they made a good showing. They beat Creighton, lost to a pretty good Oregon team, and then beat Houston, 6th ranked in the nation, 73-70, and showed fans that this could be a pretty good season for Aztec basketball.
Not a bad start. And I assure you that despite these two wins over the ranked opponents and their rankings now in the national picture, they are putting all that in the rearview mirror as well. And they are fully focused on the conference and most primarily Fresno State, because Satchel Paige said it best. Don't look back. Someone might be gaining on you.
Yeah, Fresno State, the earliest conference game ever for San Diego State. They moved from 18 conference games to 20, so everybody will play each other twice. San Diego State coming in ranked 24th in the nation. So early season ranking for San Diego State, but they're ranked 60th in the net ranking. And the net ranking is used at the end of the season to determine, who might make the March Madness bracket. And I talked with Mark Ziegler yesterday of the Union Tribune, who wrote an article about it just this morning. He said the net ranking used to come out in January, and now it's coming out in December, and it may not be as accurate as it could be because there are just so few games to base it on. But he says it is more difficult to go up in the net rankings as opposed to, the AP top 24, top 25. So I figure if San Diego State keeps winning, that'll take care of itself. But he says early on the net ranking, not anything really you should pay that close attention to, because Creighton, who San Diego State beat, is 99 in the net ranking. So we want them to keep winning, right? We don't want them to lose. So anytime
right.
a team
and
you
for
play,
certain, they are guaranteed a spot in the big dance at March Madness. All they have to do is win that conference tournament that's at the end of the season in March in Las Vegas. That
absolutely
assures you a conference bid.
And
get all
as
these
you know,
metrics and throw them aside.
That's true. And San Diego State plays exceptionally well in Las Vegas. As we just saw, they've won many a game there at the old Thomas and Mack. So I expect San Diego State to have a pretty good conference season. They lost 5 conference games last year, which is out of the ordinary. So I hope to see them win a few more this year than they did last year and
sort
make
of a
it
remake
to
of
the
the
tournament.
roster a bit.
Yeah,
remake of the roster
for
course,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miles Byrd played exceptionally well against Houston. He scored 18 points. He was named the Mountain West Conference Player of the Week. Pharaoh Compton was named the Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Week. He scored 13 points in that game against Houston. And Jared Coleman-Jones, another big guy, scored 16 points in that game. And he's a pretty good three-point shooter. So they got some good big guys. And B.J. Davis, of course, scored 18 points in the first 2 games. So their guard play is good. So we'll see. But Brian Dutcher has been playing well early in the season.
That was a task. We had a lot of new pieces, a lot of young players, and could we be good in November? And we were good enough to win 2. So now we move into the December part of the schedule, the earliest conference game I think we've ever played here. Now that we've gone to a full round robin, to play a conference game in early December is a challenge. So we have to embrace what we did in Vegas, but get beyond it today in practice and start getting ready for our first true road game against a conference opponent in Fresno. And the work will start today.
So the Aztecs start conference play Wednesday up at Fresno State. And Steve, we'll see how it goes from there. How about a little football?
Right, football. What do you recall their season-ending record? Actually, I brought along a little visual to kind of help with that. Okay, so this is the schedule, right? The Aztec schedule. And see if I got my little laser pointy thing going the right way. Right? Okay. So this is all of it. And they won this game, right? That's the one against Central Michigan. And then they won that one, and then won that one. Won a hard-fought game at home against Hawaii, right? Yeah, so they won that
good
one.
Good game. They played well there.
And then they had this one against Wyoming. They won that one on the road, Laramie. Okay, and then... Do the math, Lewis.
Yeah, 6 straight losses in the season, Steve. Not good.
No, not by that metric, and basically that's the only metric that counts. There were some bumps along the way along the season, as there are in any football season, where you lose some guys, and the biggest loss for the Aztecs was on the offensive line, and it kind of left a young quarterback who was inexperienced going into the game, and then everybody else, into the season rather, everybody else trying to follow along on a new script and a new playbook with this Aztec Fast. And Coach Lewis said at the beginning of the season that it probably takes somewhere between 14 months plus for a team to really get the grip of this kind of an offense. So we've been through 12 of them, and now it's the off season, but the work does not stop.
No, the Aztec Fast offense, we saw bits and pieces of it where it looked like it could be pretty successful, but very inconsistent. And Danny O'Neill, the quarterback, was very inconsistent. And you mentioned the offensive line, Steve. They lost their best offensive lineman on the first game of the season, and they never really were able to get the footing needed to get the offense running up to par or as fast as Coach Lewis might want it to run.
Right. In the meantime, the defense was left out in the field for long stretches of time, especially if you have an Aztec Fast offense that's trying to find its footing, and you have a lot of possessions that are 3 and out, especially on the road. It gets tough, especially when you're dealing with opponents that are a lot more stacked in those positions because they maybe have better players fitted to their scheme, and coaches have been around a while, although there are a couple of coaches who came in and started their first season in the Mountain West as well, and they found some success. So it's one of those situations now where the way college football is scrambled up with a couple transfer portal periods and this money being tossed around, it is perhaps maybe a coach has 2 years at the most to keep a team together. And, at this point, there's a lot of work to do, and there's not that much time to do it. John Lewis provided us with the rundown after that 41-20 loss to Air Force, and because this week there's a general team meeting, then everybody splits, and then the following week he talked about having all of the players doing something similar to exit interviews, where you kind of find out who's going to be sticking around and kind of give them a read on where they might fit into plans and try to build on what they've tried to develop in the past year. And here's a look at some of the work they have ahead of them, Lewis.
We've poured into these young men with our time, with our resources, and with our energy, right? So we need to keep our best players home as we do that. And then the signing day will be next Wednesday, so we got to get our signing class in on Wednesday. And then a week from Monday, the transfer portal will open. So then we'll start contacting the transfer portal kids that are in the portal. We'll start hosting official visits because the calendar has changed and it's only a quiet period now. It's not a contact period. So to have real conversations with these kids and to meet them and spend time with them, you got to get them to campus. So that will lead all the way up until December 22nd. The staff will take a little time off on December 23rd. We'll be back in the office on January 2nd to where the recruiting period will open back up with the transfer portal kids. Then after that weekend, there'll be a slight break because AFCA convention comes into play. Then the contact period will begin where we'll start taking a deeper dive into the 2026 kids that we can contact and start doing home visits with. There'll still be official visits going on. And then on Martin Luther King Day, we'll have a team meeting and we'll turn the page and we'll start winter conditioning for the 2025 team.
Yes, Steve, players are already going to the transfer portal. One of the players who has already announced he's leaving is Ezekiel Larry to the portal. He's an edge rusher who we didn't see a whole lot of this year. And you say you've heard of a couple of other names, huh?
Well, the other name I saw out there, which was pretty clear once he stopped playing mid-season, was Dean Abdullah, who did some time at center and performed really well. But apparently he might be looking for some NIL money at a bigger school because the Aztecs have lost in the last couple of years some key offensive linemen to Power 4 conferences for some amount of money that's being tossed around that I haven't really been able to confirm, but sounds pretty professional for college level play.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see who leaves, and when they announce who's coming in, pay close attention to that. But we do have some good news. 9 Aztecs were named to the All Mountain West Conference team, and the first team members are Marquez Cooper, Trey White, who was stuck on 11.5 sacks for the longest time. I think he ended up with 12.5 or 13. Tyler Pastula, the punter, and your favorite position on the football field, Steve, the kicker Gabriel Placencia, named to
I
the
like
first
Gabriel
team.
Placencia. I mean, did you see the tackle that he made against Air Force? He made some other hits too. I mean, the guy's
a big dude.
Player,
he's
so,
a big dude.
Yeah.
They could put him on the line there. And it would be nice if Placencia was kicking in that Central Michigan game that the Aztecs lost because of 2 missed field goals.
That's snow underneath the bridge in Central Michigan.
Yeah, that's true.
But school starts, as you know, on January the 21st, and this whole process has been going on through December. They take a little bit of a break for the Christmas and the New Year's holiday, and then it never really stops. Lewis says it's fun, and he says he has the right resources. He feels he has the best people in place to get it done. I did follow up that one question from the post-game news conference with any potential staff changes, and he anticipates none, which helps with the entire stability part of the program. And the second-year plan is hopefully already in place because he's been executing this at Kent State and probably had some visions going forward about how he would do it if he got the next opportunity, which is here. Not a hobby, he says. He's going to do it the right way and bring championships back to the Mesa. And Coach Lewis talks about controlling these controllables. There's a big issue we've kind of went into briefly about the uncontrollables. It's human nature. You got the advent of this de facto legalization of payments to players and college athletes for their name, image, and likeness, and vast sums of money being dangled in front of these young men who are no older than their 20s to play football at the college level. And this makes that playing field a little bit unlevel when you're talking about schools like San Diego State and these big-name schools are armed with all this fund from the TV contracts that they have, shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars reportedly. And meantime, you have this disadvantage because schools like San Diego State, they do not have those funds or the donor base available at the moment. And it's never been the mission of a college, state, or a university in California to be a football factory. but certain teams with certain players and coaches have made their share of noise in the past, and of course everybody has to adjust. A guy like Lewis brought in, he has to remake a roster with that dynamic, and so we've talked about the players who've already hit the portal and him trying to do it the right way and get the right paid people and being consistent in the process, and everybody adjusting and learning as they go along. He does not begrudge players for getting their piece of the pie, but a little bit of certainty would be nice, and maybe one less transfer period in the portal, so that the school that did all the work developing would receive some sort of finder's fee on the back end. So if you do lose a great player, you're compensated in some way. But right now you get nothing but a hole in your roster, and you got to spend more time and effort trying to fill it. Let's hear him talk about that aspect of the uncontrollables.
Right. In any industry, there's going to be change. There's going to be different legislation. There's going to be different things that happen. So, yeah, there's an increased hurdle with that, to where when we were at, Kent, not that far along ago, but it seems like an eternity ago, right? Like, you knew that you're going to have your pieces in place because they were going to stay, they were going to be retained, they were going to be developed over the course of time. Whereas now, again, like, our staff has done an unbelievable job of, developing the talent that we inherited, right? Identifying good talent to influx into the roster, and guys have grown and guys have developed. And now, again, because of the vision that we have, the experience that they're getting, the course and the direction that we have set, that hopefully the relationships that we have and the support that we have from, the people in the building here and the people in our community and Aztec Link and everything that we need, that every single college team is going through, right? This isn't unique to San Diego State. It's something that is going on right now across all sports, particularly men's and women's basketball and football, right? To where the NLI piece of it is huge, to be able to keep your roster intact and to use that as the vehicle that you need to retain your players and to consistently have a championship roster year in and year out.
Yeah, Steve, you make a really good point. NIL is changing everything from all aspects of football, from recruiting to transfers, and the teams and schools that best handle it will be successful. I think Sean Lewis understands how it all works. He's well versed in it. He's very optimistic. You hear him talk. He's a great salesman. He says, right, and you mentioned it earlier, that he will bring championships to the Mesa. So we as fans have to have confidence that he knows what he's doing, and that maybe that can happen at some point in the future.
Right. It does feel a little strange to have two consecutive losing seasons after we've been spoiled to a point with relative success in the college football ranks by the Aztecs. And they vied and won, actually, 3 Mountain West Conference championships in football. And it was what year was it? I'm trying to, if I have them. It was like,
No. Put that away. We don't need those.
We had to use those to get into because in 2021 they had the championship that the Aztecs qualified for, won double-digit games, and they played against Utah State, but had a big part of their roster taken away from them because of medical concerns due to that thing. Yeah, they all went through. So, in the big picture, it hasn't been that long ago that this type of success was being experienced by the players, coaches, administration, and the people following the program. And we shall see how long it takes for that to get back, because it's been pretty clear that it's just like in basketball now. The bar has been set, and it's up to the folks who are running the program now to hit that mark and get over it.
Yeah, fans are impatient. If you follow the Aztec Mesa forum, people are calling for Lewis to be fired after one season, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You got to give it some time, and we'll see where it goes from there. And I think
short of some major debacle in the first season, that idea that he should be dismissed after a season, for one thing, it's not financially feasible, and for two,
of course,
in this era, you got to give a coach at least a couple of seasons to see what he can do with this new era of NIL and dual transfer portals.
Yes, sir. And that will wrap up this edition of Aztecs All In. Thank you so much for watching, not just listening, but watching. You could drop us a line, aztecsallin@gmail.com, or you can follow us
I forgot to ask you what the weather was like on your side of the screen there, in the Brady Bunch box. Are you Bobby or are you? Sorry to interrupt.
No, I am not. I'm Peter. I'm Peter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And follow us on the X, Aztecs _all_. So, for him, Steve Perez, or is he here? I'm not sure which box. I'm Louis Weiner. Until next time, so long.